You guys. Welcome back. I'm sorry. I have to have a bite for lunch. Not the healthiest thing in the world, but I gotta have something to eat. So forgive me for eating while I do this. I'm probably gonna put quite a few photos in this video um, because I don't always want it to always be all about my face. You know, I want to start doing some videos that are more presentation and talking about other things, other people. I won't always have my face in them going forward. Maybe just little bits and pieces. I'll get into that in another video. Welcome back if you watch my videos. If you're brand new, I'm glad you're here. Hit like and subscribe so that you can stick around and continue to check out my videos. So anyway, in this video, I want to, and let me just say this. I am not strictly a Watts YouTube channel. I am not strictly a true crime channel. That's not, actually I don't have one particular focus. I do a lot of different videos, most of them revolving around psychological or spiritual topics. Some of them do involve crime. But, for the most part, that's where most of my videos are going to end up landing, even if they are about different people, different situations, some of my own personal experiences. And I love to study the lives of others. I think that in doing so, we can learn a lot. We can be inspired. We can sometimes learn from their mistakes or things that they went through and suffered, unfortunately. Just all kinds of things. Since I was a little girl, I have loved biographies and the life stories of others. They often inspire me. So anyway, I'm not strictly a Watts channel, but I do talk about this case quite a bit because when I found out about this case, I was going through something very, very similar in my relationship and having to learn about this person and this type of personality. Also want to say I am very aware, although I am not an expert. I do not have a degree in psychology. I will say this. I have had a personal therapist for 30 years and built a relationship with her since I was a young child. I've also studied psychology over my lifetime as a personal passion and hobby. I've also taken it when going back to school. I took several semesters and courses, and it's been a primary focus in my life for most of my life. Also, firsthand experience growing up in a family full of personality disorders, mental illnesses, and addictions. That's right. So I've had lots of hands-on observation and experience, not just talking with professionals, getting my own, um, wires straightened out and my own healing work and being able to ask them questions and learn from them. That's sometimes just as good as going to school, in my own personal studies, but also having to live around it sometimes, growing up night and day, 24 hours a day. If those are your parents, those are your siblings, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to see a lot. And then growing up and getting into partnerships with these different personality types and relationships, you're going to learn a lot behind the scenes that a lot of times the experts miss, that they wouldn't know. Okay, so I want to make that very clear before we get into this. I respect the work of the experts and the psychologists and the professionals because of the fact that that's what I've known since I was a child. This person was a huge figure of respect in my life, someone that I admire to this day, look up to, respect her work. And she gave me a lot of foundation that I needed to work through a lot of issues. Without her, I don't know where I would have been. But I will say this. There are things that even the professional therapists and the experts don't know. There are things they won't know that we who have walked through those circumstances, lived with it night and day, observed it night and day, gotten into the deeper recesses of some of these people's minds, that they would be very reluctant to share with a therapist or very reluctant to show anyone else. A lot of us have that very deep insight that the professionals and experts wouldn't have. So there would be a gap there. So I am not in any way saying don't respect their work, don't listen to them. I always encourage you, please do research, your own research, and always ask a professional, consult with a professional, get 2 or 3 different perspectives and opinions, always. My videos are simply for educational purposes, spreading awareness, and sometimes entertainment. Um, I'm coming from the perspective of absolutely no disrespect to Shanann Watts or the entire Rusek family. I am for defending Shanann in every single way possible and those little girls, okay? But that's what you will find on my channel is me talking about my personal thoughts and feelings on certain cases and certain topics to do with psychological things, domestic situations, relational dynamics, childhood traumas, coming through that type of thing from my personal life and the lives of others, okay? And my spiritual stuff, which will be coming up on the page soon. So that's what you'll get here. And in this video, I am doing a series on the covert narcissist. And as that pertains to Chris Watts, I've been working on those. There's 2 different videos on my page right now. I am going to be working on a 3rd one. But over the last week, okay, and typically I do not watch the channels that bash Shanann Watts. I can't stand it. It's ridiculous. But something popped up on my feed the other day, and it was a video about Bella Watts. And if you don't know about all this, I'm referring to the Watts family homicides, where Chris Watts murdered his pregnant wife and 2 baby daughters, okay? And proceeded to dispose of them in a very careless, heartless manner. And it went from there. And this case got a lot of notoriety, a lot of interest because of the way it went down, all of the lies and the unanswered questions surrounding the case, okay? And it spiraled out of control. You can look it up and do your own research. But in my finding the case, my personal relationship at the time was extremely eerily similar to the personality of Chris Watts, okay? And I want to make it very clear. That's why I told you all about my background. I am very aware of not projecting my situation and my relationship onto someone else's and vice versa. I'm very aware of those things, and I keep that in careful consideration. That would be dumb of me anyway. It'd be ignorant of me as a person who wants to get to my personal truth, who wants everything to be fair for all parties involved. If they are truly innocent, if they are truly learning and growing and innocent, not abusing someone else, yada, yada, I want things to be completely fair for all people involved. So how silly and stupid would I be not to be aware when examining cases and when taking a look at things and, then taking a look at mine. It is an excellent way to learn and to grow. And a lot of times it takes one to know one. If we're living in something, or that we've been treated a certain way for years, or we know the certain movements and the certain gestures and responses after going through such a situation, then we can see it. Sometimes we're trained enough to pick up on it in the body language of another person going through that exact same abuse or that exact same situation, but we won't know 100%. You get what I'm saying? So it's not something you should just discard, but because it's a totally different case than yours. But at the same time, we must be aware, of course, not to project our situation onto somebody else's and just get too wrapped up in that. No, I'm looking at this from the facts, the figures, looking at it objectively, putting everything where it needs to be. But my relationship was just eerily close to similar personality to that guy. And I do kind of have mixed feelings about talking about it because I loved my partner very much. He was a very broken man, a very sick alcoholic man. He had been so all of his life. He was in his 40s. He had lost a child. He was consumed by grief and hard living. And but I still had to hold him accountable for the things and the lines that he crossed and the ways in which he treated me, manipulated me, on and so forth. And we were together almost 7 years. That all of these things about him slowly revealed themselves to me that hadn't been there and wasn't what he claimed in the beginning. Okay. And so I began to learn about the covert narcissistic personality. And I think that I can shed a lot of light on some of the things that are going on in those types of relationships. And then when I was going through that, I ran across Shanann and her case, and it really helped me to learn a lot more things. So the other day, this story about Bella comes up, and I think, oh, how sweet. I believe the video was called Bella is Strong or something like that. And I thought, oh, this is the cutest thing. Let me tap into this and watch. Well, what I was led to, of course, was a video that I'm going to have to put some mayonnaise on this sandwich. You totally get ripped off when you go to places like that. They don't ever put anything on your food that you ask for. So what I actually fell into was basically a woman's channel who, just from listening to her talk, tries to kind of, to me, it seemed like she was trying to disguise the whole thing as not being a Shanann basher channel, trying to come from this perspective of, I'm a behavioral therapist and I want everything to be, fair, and I want to tell the story of these little girls, and in no way, and the vocal fry, I'm sorry. I'm not going to name names and just point the finger right at exactly whose channel it was, because I'm not, fuck it. But the vocal fry on this woman, it was just too much as I listened more and more to what she was actually doing, and the nauseating, sickening insults that she was speaking out against this beloved, deceased woman, mother and daughter and sister and beloved person who had her life taken along with her children. Her voice grated on my nerves all through my spine. The vocal fry, and I'm sorry, okay? Generally, I'm not one who's petty enough to sit up and make fun of other people, okay? I don't have time for that shit. But this woman, I'm sorry, I just couldn't take it. It just, oh my God. I mean, but those of you who know her channel, who have heard of her, then you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. That voice, and how she will blatantly sit up and say, I, in no way, shape, or form do I believe that Shanann was a bad mother. It is important to point out that I think she was doing the best that she could. I don't think she was doing these things on purpose. Nonetheless, I'm going to tell these stories my way. Okay. I'm going to do a complete video about this later on, and I'm going to give you guys example by example of what she was doing, what she was saying, and how she was showing video clips of much larger videos and setting it up to where it would look so horrible on Shanann. And then right in the middle of it, totally contradicting herself, saying this is all about Shanann, or it's all about Cece, but yet Shanann in the video clip was clearly trying to give just as much attention to Bella, and we could see that for ourselves. This woman has her own damn narrative, okay? And I think a lot of people do just to make fucking money. A lot of these people have huge followings off the back of making fun. That is what she was doing with all that vocal fry. And I'm a behavioral therapist, and I finished up my degree by studying the Watts case, and I'm going to present step by step all the features and everything that it takes for a toddler to be happy. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the things she was pointing out psychologically are all fine and true. I've studied quite a bit of psychology myself. I've also raised two children, two sons who are now in their 20s. Their emotional well-being and emotional intelligence and safety and all-round well-being, mental, physical, all of it was of utmost importance to me because of coming from trauma. I made sure to stay in therapy because I knew I grew up rough and twisted, and I was wanting to make sure I could learn as a young mother not to even hopefully accidentally twist their minds, not be fair, um, not be able to keep up. So what she was saying is, in part, that she thought Shanann was unknowingly abusing her daughters with neglect and weaponizing things against them if they didn't act perfect on camera like little monkeys. And every time she would mention Shanann's job, she would say, "Oh, another one of those Thrive trips by Lavelle." And she was clearly mocking this woman, this now deceased woman who was taken off the face of this earth for her choice of job, for her mothering, okay? And I really didn't see one damn thing that she pointed out that we had any evidence of, or that that you couldn't see it right then and there, that she was contradicting herself. And I'm going to say this too, honey, just because you come on YouTube and tell everybody that you're a behavioral health therapist or a behavioral therapist or whatever the hell you said you were, you know what? As much as I respect psychology, as much as I respect the experts, again, I've had a personal therapist since I was 13 years old. She's one of the lights of my life, one of my guiding stars. But I know that in that world, they are human too. And sometimes they can be just as fucked up as the next person. That is right. And after you run across her channel and you watch a few of, and after that, I had to look deeper into her channel and just see if is my mind playing tricks on me? Am I crazy? Is what I'm picking up on correct? Is she really trying to tell the story of these children? Or is she out to really clown on their mother? And to me, she spent more time trying to clown on their mother. You know, if you're going to tell the story from a professional perspective of two children that you think weren't getting the necessary parenting and love and they were being made to feel a certain way, then is it really necessary, first of all the vocal fry, and secondly, to sit there and make little Mickey Mouse voices and horrific mocking sounds and trashing this woman's job and her humanity and literally every single thing she did? You know, I come on here and make noises all the time. I don't give a straight fuck, but I'm also not on here claiming to be a professional um, and gain the respect of a certain amount of followers under that. The whole thing just seemed so off to me. It seemed like she was the one that was insane. Okay. And I'm going to say obsession, and I'm not going to say anything else. If you know, then you know. And I'm not going any farther because I don't want this to be some confrontation. I'm not here to spread hate. Please do not show hate to anyone. Okay. That is not what I'm out for. But everything that she did say that she's doing in her videos, I went over a lot of these things very, very carefully. And I have some things to say about each and every example. And often what is going on behind the scenes with a covert narcissist, where all of that would have been coming from in Shanann. And, not one time did she ever talk about, not one time, because clearly, again, that is something a therapist would miss. A lot of therapists are not familiar with the covert narcissist. And and then I thought to myself, has this woman ever even had kids? Because a lot of the time, these people can talk out their ass and they don't even have kids. And they don't even know what the hell it's like to be in that position, running around after 2 kids all day long. They don't know anything about it. But it turned out she did mention that she has one child who is of a certain age. Still, when you add that second child and then that third child, you don't know what that's about until you walk through it. So it's easy for her to sit up and, in my professional opinion, important and all that shit. But not one time in all of that, and I'm going to say again, some of the psychological things that she broke down, what's required for a toddler to be happy, healthy, to feel safe, secure, and keep growing in a well-rounded way. Those were good examples, and I firmly believe in that. And those were things that I was highly aware of when raising my children as well. But we're all going to make mistakes, and boy, did I. But my boys are in their 20s now, and they're doing fine, and they're very well-rounded, kind-hearted, empathetic, good guys that make mistakes and have issues like anybody, but I'm proud of them. It's not, and so, but not one time. So I give the psychology its respect, but it's the way she uses her fucking platform to mock and demean this beloved deceased woman. Okay? And turn everything to a certain narrative. And I could see where she was doing it. I could see where she was setting up these clips and making it into totally her own narrative of how abusive everything was. And see how she just took that away from her and she began to do this and this. And then she makes a big deal out of the holiday pictures and the crying and we're going to break it down. Okay. We're going to break it down because number one, we have to look out for children. That is something that I've been very passionate about most of my life, coming from where I came from. But secondly, I really don't care for the way that it is so unfair when you get involved with somebody like Chris Watts or the covert narcissistic type. And basically, you become not human, not only to that man or that woman, that partner, but the rest of the world. Once that happens, if you have children especially, you're just kind of washed away as a non-entity. It's either going to be all about the children or all about the abuser. And it's almost like the world forgets that you are also someone's daughter, someone's beloved child, someone's beloved sister or brother, male or female. It's just a weird thing that goes on. And not one time did this woman mention, because I don't think she knows a damn thing about it. Not one time did she mention that it was a possibility that those little girls were experiencing the abuse from Chris Watts onto his wife Shanann in the way that a covert narcissist would have been doing it all of those years. She wouldn't know. So many people don't know. None of these people are able to talk about, I don't hear any of them except Live Abuse Free. And I have put a link to her channel, to some of her videos pertaining to Chris Watts, the Watts case, and the covert narcissism and what it is like. And if you ever get an idea of it, God hope you never have to live with it like I have. But if you ever can get it in your brain, get an idea of it, that woman is the woman to break it down for you. She's a social worker. Live Abuse Free. She will explain to you the goofy, crazy, deranged shit that goes on in the mind of a covert narcissist, what their motives are, how they operate, and Professor Sam Vaknin can top the cherry on the top for you with his videos. Check out his stuff too. I've got links to it in one of my other videos about Chris Watts. I can put more links up, but not once did I hear her mention. It was all about how terrible a mother she was, her trips, her job, everything she chose to do in life, every move she made with the girls. Never once did she talk about the beautiful love that and affection and that she also and sat there and gave her daughters. And never once did she ever talk about how a lot of her complaint was that she felt like Bella had turned from an outgoing, safe, and secure infant toddler to a very depressed, anxious little girl that is feeling unloved and alone, and like her sister's better than her. And she she went into shit about her hair. She went into all these crazy things. And she blamed it all on Shanann, as so many of these fuckers are doing. And I'm so puking sick of it, because I know what it's like to be in a woman like Shanann's shoes with a covert narcissist behind closed doors. And I know what they're like. And I know how they end up making you look. And it's not fair, and I will speak for it. No parent is perfect either, and I do not condone the abuse of children, even in its subtlest of forms. Even if you weren't aware that you were doing it, get aware. I'm on to that, okay? I'm on that wavelength. But not one time did she ever mention this shit didn't just come out of the blue with Chris Watts murdering his wife. He didn't just snap. She didn't drive him to it because she was bitchy, controlling, spent too much money. None of that. And not once did she ever mention that it is entirely possible and most likely that Bella became even more resigned and things started going haywire in Shanann's personality because she was being abused by her husband behind closed doors for years and years before the murders. Not the other way around, that she was abusing him and caused him to snap and murder the whole family and become obsessed with a new girl. No, 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 no. That he, as the covert narcissist, came into the relationship already deranged, okay? Already deranged, already having all these issues. They were very under the radar for a few years and came out slowly. I know how it all works. People won't know this and they won't understand it. They won't bring it up unless they have lived through it. That's the horror of it all. That's the unfairness of it all. They won't have a fucking clue unless we, who have been put through it, keep speaking up. We've got to speak up about what we know about this, because, and share it around as much as we can and get people educated, because it is so untalked about. The information up until the last few years hasn't been there. It's not one of the forms of narcissism that people are familiar with. And in fact, people really aren't that even that educated on narcissism. It's taken me 5 or 6 years to get really, really, really educated with what it is, how it works, what's normal, healthy narcissism, what isn't, what's pathological, what are the different types, what are the different levels, what's this, what's that, what's the difference between the personality disorder and just some narcissism that can heal. All of these fucking things. A lot of these people don't know shit about that. They don't even think about that. It's just narcissist this and narcissist that. And if you're the least bit assertive and goddamn fed up with somebody's shit, then you're a narcissist. They're clueless, completely clueless. And in my coming videos on the channel, no matter how long it takes me to get to it, I'm working on getting more consistent. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to breaking all of these things down very in depth, okay? With more of my story, what I saw, what I learned, what I witnessed, more on the Watts case, more on the covert narcissism stuff. But yeah, so that's how it works. And I'm here to say again, not one time did she say anything about, that's what kills me the most. That's what gets to me so bad, is that these people doing this to her, are you out of your damn minds? He is the one who committed murder. So basically everybody should be looking back and going, oh, Okay, so it was him. It really was him all along. And he was trying to make this woman look bad. It wouldn't be the first logical thought in my mind that, oh, wow, there must have been something really bad about her. He to make him just snap like that. And you automatically imply that this was just such a good, hardworking guy. He was just so great the whole time, and he just snapped just because nobody ever saw the derangement. Nobody ever saw the nastiness, the evil, the twistedness on him because you won't. You won't. And they didn't see it on my partner either. And he did the same thing, tried to smear my name, my character, but luckily, unlike Shanann had witnesses on the outside, but I had inside witnesses. I had people that witnessed my partner's behavior firsthand as well. They witnessed his out of control behaviors, his breaking boundaries, his driving people to the breaking point. But my partner had alcoholism. They can't keep their mask on as well as a sober, covert narcissist. So Chris Watts would have been able to hide all of these abusive things very well until he was behind closed doors. And it's a very subtle form of abuse. It's psychological. It's twisting and gamey and basically finding out that you're dating a 5-year-old, that your partner has a 5-year-old brain in many, many ways. But they can be quite convincing to the general public, their best friends, and everyone else. Uh huh. Mm, mm, that they're a grown man who robotically carries out tasks and might have a high IQ, but a part of their brain and their emotional intelligence isn't there. It isn't developed. And behind closed doors is where you find out. And your jaw hits the fucking ground. You don't know who to tell, what to say. You don't want to embarrass or hurt them, but this isn't right. I thought this was a grown man with a grown man's mind. Oh my God. And a lot of times it comes from something very deranged happening to them in their childhood. And they've been keeping that secret all of their life and wouldn't dare to tell on mommy and daddy, or wouldn't dare to want to even dredge up what horrible thing happened to them or whatever the deranged shit was. And I'm quite sure something like that happened in Chris Watts' life. And not to give away too much, rest in peace. My partner passed away last year from cancer. I loved him dearly, and I was there holding his hand when he took his last breath. But he did abuse me, and I did have to stand up for myself a lot and speak out about this a lot. And I got very deep into a lot of his psychological issues with him in those years. And come to find out, a lot of that behavior, they're very quiet in front of others, very remote, very unsure of themselves. That's why they don't speak a lot. They got a lot of issues, but they're very different from the typical narcissist. Come to find out, just one of the traumas that happened in my partner's past is that, and I think there was a lot of other abuse too, neglect, shaming, mistreatment, ridicule, all kinds of crazy shit. Alcoholic father, stuff going on with the mothers and stepmother and things happening to him. But he told me that his father was so angry one night they couldn't take care of I believe it wasn't kittens, it was dogs. They couldn't take care of the new litter of puppies that their dog birthed, and that he was forced as a young boy to go out and drown the puppies. And if he didn't do it, he was going to have his ass beaten. Imagine being a little child terrified of your father. I was terrified of mine. And he made us do a lot of sick things too, or we would be beaten. There's nothing you can do. You can't fight back. You have to do what you're instructed to do. Imagine the heartbreak, the trauma inside of a little child like that. Even bringing it up and remembering it it guts me. And I loved this guy so much. I wanted to help him through so many of his childhood traumas because I had a lot of my own too. I still love him to this day, even though he's no longer on this earth, and I don't feel like I'm betraying him. He never got to tell all his story. he was too embarrassed of a lot of it, and he kept a lot of it inside, and he drank himself to death right off the face of this earth. He had throat cancer in the end. He self-destructed. He never got the acknowledgement from his parents that he wanted. He never got to heal a lot of this stuff. Even though he did abuse me and twist me and psychologically and emotionally abuse and lie to me and manipulate, and there was a lot going on. But we were together for several years, and it was deep, and I loved him with all of my heart and soul. And we worked on a lot together, and he meant a lot to me. And we did have a lot of good times too. He showed me a lot of beautiful things, and there was a very deep love between us. But this gutted me to know the things he was put through in the past, even though I still had to hold him accountable. You're responsible for coping with what happened to you in your past, and it doesn't give you a free pass to manipulate, abuse, use, control, do any of that to me or anybody. But I'm just trying to make you aware. A lot of these covert narcissistic type people have been put through some things that are so fucking deranged. And my partner, I began to feel like through observing him and working with him, getting to know him better, and studies of my own, I began to feel like he had some psychopathy there as well, from being put through these fucking deranged things as a child. And the pain inside of him. He would cry when he would tell me these fucking stories that he was made to do. And I believed every word of it. Oh, I believed every fucking word of it, because I knew where he came from. I knew his family. I knew his location of upbringing. I knew the types of people around. And no, it wasn't a lie. And much worse happened. So I believe firmly that something very similar in Chris Watts' background. You know, when parents are younger, they do a lot of crazy shit that you're not going to see on them at 60 and 70 years old. They've turned into grandparents, and they've mellowed out, and oh, Chris, and I'm not accusing anybody, any one person of anything, but a lot of these fucking parents that you're seeing now, back in the day, were some hardcore motherfuckers, and they didn't give a fuck. And they put it on your ass. And a lot of them did some crazy shit. A lot of them were addicted and mentally ill and not getting any help back then, and young and wild, and putting it on their kids. That's why a lot of us grew up in some extreme shit, and you got a lot of twisted, damaged, scarred, addicted adults running around. Still, there is no excuse in the fucking world for murder, and I'm going to end this video on that note. I keep saying I'm going to make shorter videos, but somebody told me the other day, oh, you made a 50-minute video. I love these. Thank you. Thank you so much for all your love and support, and for sticking with me, and as I fumble my way through trying to, different times on my videos and different things. But I'm going to leave you with this in this video, and then I'm going to get to work on the rest of the series. I will have a lot more coming to you, examples of what was going on with this woman, what she was saying. I want to give you examples, and then I want to give you an alternative perspective of what I know about covert narcissists. Not one time did she say it could be Chris. The girls could have been feeling what was going on from Chris constantly twisting Shanann's mind, keeping her upset, sabotaging her, the resentment he felt towards her, and everything he set up. But you would have to know the covert narcissistic personality to even understand that much. But never once did she say that, oh my God, well, I know that that's just common fucking sense. I know, as we all know, that nothing on this earth that a person does can make you a murderer. If you murder your family, or you fucking get pissed off for any reason, because they stole your car, because they spent your money, because they boss you around, if you murder them, you're a crazy fuck. You are a psycho. You have some very fucking deranged psychological issues. And if you just dump them in a hole and some oil batteries and
call up your goddamn girlfriend and you're ready to run off into the sunset and go get lunch, you're even crazier of a fuck. But have these people said anything? Did they think like that? Like, you know, as deranged as the facts are, we now realize that everything is pointing to this man having been abusive long before the murders, and him having some very deep rooted psychological issues that even his wife was having a hard time picking up on, and that she was likely covering for and striving and hoping they would go away, as women often do. These people seem so ignorant and so even, and this woman claims to be a behavioral therapist or whatever. She claims to be a professional and have a degree in this. Are you kidding me? And you haven't discussed the covert narcissism of Chris Watts and what all that entails, and how that means he would have been abusing his wife the whole fucking time, and possibly his little girls when Shanann wasn't around, or maybe even when she was around, and maybe she had to fight for them too, and never told anybody, never left, didn't want to leave her husband, was hoping he would change, stood up for her children and set boundaries. It happens. I did it with my partner. I didn't want to leave him, but every fucking day I was having to reprimand. I was having to remind, hey, these are my boundaries. You're stepping, you're hurting me. You know, the twisting and the provoking. It's a very psychological type of abuse that they put you through. And all you want to do is get on with your day. Love them, give them attention, have the proper balances of everything going on, and they make it impossible. They twist you to the point of madness. And they're always doing little things to make you feel threatened and insecure. And they're on dating sites and they're doing this, that, and the other, and ruining your morning. They're very jealous and resentful of you. You got to understand this covert narcissistic thing. And I will be getting more videos up, lots to cover, step by step of what they do and how I experienced it, and more about the whole Watts thing. But yeah, not once did she point that out, that it was most likely the change in Shanann's personality. Even if she did become a bit more narcissistic, well, that is a survival thing. I become a bit more narcissistic when I'm being trampled, when I'm being mangled mentally and emotionally, and I feel like I don't know what to do about it, as many women do behind closed doors with that type of man. But she didn't mention that. None of these people mentioned that. That the possible change in Shanann's demeanor and her sarcasm and her madness, it's madness when you live with a covert narc. Well, should I work harder? Should I, spend more money? Should I try and talk to him? Should I do more videos, or should I spend more time? Or, you end up running around in circles trying to do so much, turn yourself inside out to better the situation with them because you don't want to lose them and you love them, that you end up fucking up. You end up starting to lose it. Okay. And that could start to eat into the time with the little girls. Children feel things, Naturally, when two parents are having problems, the little children are going to feel it. But do I outright feel like that woman abused her children? Absolutely not. Not even accidentally. No. I feel like she was being abused by her goddamn husband on a regular fucking basis up to the point of the murders. It got to the breaking point, and she wanted to start standing up for herself. She bought him a book to read. She was wanting to save that marriage, and right into the trash it went, like a fucking 13-year-old dirtbag, doo-doo brain. That's exactly how he acted. I'm going to break it all down for you. Their obsession with strangers, like he got with Nicole. Not one time did that woman mention any of this. That, okay, you don't just murder people out of the blue. Nobody just wakes up one day and decides to plot murder on their wife and children. You cannot be driven to murdering somebody. Let me fucking repeat that for those in the back who keep bashing Shanann. You cannot be driven crazy enough to murder somebody. Absolutely not. Nobody can make you a murderer. You always have the choice to walk out that door, to find another way, to reach out for help. You got to have a real fucking screw loose if you think that's your only option. And I know some motherfuckers backed into some really bad corners, baby. I've been one of them before. But did I ever plot murder on my abuser, even? No. Now, I know people make us so mad and so hurt sometimes that the human mind can think a lot of thoughts. Oh, I wish they would just, oh, I wish something would just happen, and to get this off of me. Or we'd be liars if we didn't say from time to time we all may have some dark thoughts or this, that, and the other. You can't be driven to be a murderer. Nope, nope, nope. There's nothing on this earth can drive you to be a murderer. Nothing. So there you go. Now, you can be backed into a corner and forced if it's self-defense. If you feel like they are about to kill you, okay, that's one thing. But other than that, there is nothing else on this planet that can drive you to be a murderer. And what did the little children drive him to? If that's y'all's, if that's what you're standing on, well, if Shanann drove him to murder, what did little Cece and Bella drive him to? What was their fucking part in it? You see what I'm saying? You people don't have a leg to stand on, and everybody's sick of you disrespecting this woman and her family. Okay? And it's so close to my heart for many reasons. I've been in her goddamn shoes, except for the end of their life. Blessed to still be here, and I'm sorry they're not. But I wanted to throw that down for y'all, just that much, to let you guys think about and to get that out there. And I'm going to finish putting these videos together and in a very, good presentational way with pictures and, making the examples and the points of what this woman was saying and doing, how the covert narcissism thing works, even more in depth. But yeah, with a covert narcissist, again, it doesn't just happen overnight. It's been going on the whole time, and we've been protecting them. We've been saving face. And then people would say, well, that makes you crazy. That makes you a lunatic. Why would you do that? Weren't you worried about your children? Weren't you this and that? Which I didn't have young children. Mine are grown when I was going through it. But yes, people worry about their children. Yes, they care. But they think it's going to change. They think it's going to get better because the covert narcissist will retract everything and they'll apologize and they'll beg you, oh, forgive me, please don't leave. I love you. I love our family. Oh, God. And you think with your whole heart they're going to change. Now, do I think he inflicted any noticeable abuse onto the children and Shanann? No. Covert narcs are cowards. They don't like confrontation and they generally do not inflict visible abuse onto you. Generally. Now, there are exceptions, shit. Generally, the covert narc operates very much like a fucking snake. Goofy, doofy, deranged, game playing, manipulative, and they almost put down a psychological warfare attack against your life right after they win your heart. It begins. It's on. Okay? Okay. So I'm going to leave it there. You can't fucking make anybody a murderer. You can't make somebody snap and murder you. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. I don't care how bad you are. I don't care how mad you make them and how you've mistreated them. You can't make them a murderer. You can't make me a murderer. I don't care how bad you are, how much you have done me wrong, how bad you drove me insane and up the wall. I've been going through that for years. Being unfairly treated and emotionally and psychological abuse and around all kinds of shit like that. But having to really keep my cool, reach out to a professional, reach out to my support systems, use my tools in my toolbox, my training, my coping skills, my emotional intelligence until I can do better and figure out how to cope with people like that. Do you think for 1 second I would think, even though sometimes it feels like the walls are closing in on me and I don't know what I'm going to do to get out of this and stop this kind of treatment from happening? and it's right on me. Yeah, I've walked through it. I've walked through it, I swear. Do you think for 1 second I thought of murdering those people? That I thought, you know what? I'll just get obsessed with this new boy. And you know what? I think I'll just wipe out all of these people that are in my way. The ones that have made me so mad and annoyed me so much. And I'll just get rid of them and start over. Think about it. Yeah, Looney Tunes. These people bashing that woman and supporting Chris Watts, even of all things, thinking he was tricked and railroaded and shouldn't be in prison. He's right where he belongs. I already said that in the last video. We covered that. But I wanted to give you guys just a little bit more because this is kind of brand new, running across this woman and her channel and her videos. This one turned into another 50-minute one. So I'm going to leave it there. You people who think that dude just snapped and his wife drove. And that's what led y'all to start we're going to tap into her life and investigate. Why did she do this? Why did she do that? Stupid job and stupid choices and annoying personality. And she's too bossy and she's too emasculating and terrible mother. And she wanted to do it. And if she just wouldn't have spent this, and if you're out of your fucking mind, you're talking about just about every goddamn woman on the fucking planet at one time or another acts like that. Please. What you're microscoping this beloved woman for, does it make you feel good? That's what I really want to know. That, especially that one woman with that channel who sits there mocking and giggling about it. Mocking this woman who lost her fucking life and her daughters, who had her heart broken and annihilated and her head twisted and fucking taken advantage of and twisted up the whole time they were married, most likely with a covert narc, and had her heart broken right before the end, knowing her husband didn't love her. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell y'all my story. It's coming up on the channel. 1 year before my fiance's death, he did me the same way. He went insane, got on drugs, didn't know how to cope with the problems of the relationship and me requesting boundaries and not to be mistreated anymore. And he went nuts. And he even grabbed me by my fucking throat one day. It was eerily like the Watts case. And ran off and became obsessed with some brand new girl that he didn't even know. And he became so obsessed and so serious with her that he fucking attacked me one night when I was trying to talk some sense into him because I loved him. You goddamn right. So I'm going to keep speaking about this case, and I'm going to keep speaking for Shanann and the girls and people like her. I've gone through it, and there are things you don't know about the covert narcissist. And they try to make it look like it was all you or all Shanann or whatever. And you people perpetuating this, let's microscope her. What must she have done to push him to this, to drive him to this? Oh, it's just horrible. It's all her fault. You know, the mothers always do get blamed. Even as a young girl, when my father was the one who abused me the most. My father was the one committing the crimes against me and my body. Not that my mother didn't have her issues, but you know, you always take it out on the mother. She got more anger and more blame from me than my father did. For many years, I found it almost impossible to get angry with him out of fear, out of love, out of, I don't know what it was. The mother often does get a lot of the blame. But oftentimes, you know, people blame the mother because the mother is supposed to protect. She's supposed to see everything, pay attention, protect you at all costs, nurture you, guide you. And a lot of us, you know, sometimes don't get that. So, you know, I'm just putting it out there, kind of examining why. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it here, but you remember that. You cannot make someone a murderer. She didn't make him a murderer. That motherfucker had murder in his mind, and he had deranged shit in his mind probably ever since he was a little boy. In fact, it'll be the next thing that comes out. We find out that he was torturing animals as a kid or some fucked up shit like that. There's a lot of things Chris Watts is hiding, a lot of secrets he's kept all of his life. My partner was the same way. things he didn't want anybody to know. That you would drop your jaw if you knew he had gone through as a child. That shit stays in their brain. All right, hold on to that, you guys. Thank you for watching. Like, hit subscribe, come back for more, share my videos, leave me a comment. Tell me what you guys think about some of this, or if you've experienced similar. And I will be back, uh, most likely in a part 2 with this, or certainly carrying on with the rest of the series I have, talking about the Watts case and covert narcissism. And I appreciate you guys for being here. Okay, I'll see you next time.